Since the dawn of time, we have been looking for an answer to life's fundamental question. What can I take to increase my performance?
Yes.
So to speak. Obviously, I'm speaking facetiously, but literally, though, it's such a common question we get at the pharmacy. Obviously, this is a little more on the men's side of things, too, as opposed to women, I say. But it's really there for both of them as
Absolutely.
well.
But the whole idea of boosting energy,
Energy.
Right. Increasing or enhancing performance. Right. It's the question of the century.
Sure. That's where it even goes back to, like, Chinese medicine and that kind of stuff, or other ancient things like that, with different powders and different plants and herbal things, animals.
Right.
I've seen things about cobras and different skins and venoms, and so I think you were telling me about something soaked in alcohol the other day for like over 2 years or something like that.
Yeah, they try to, in some of the Asian cultures, right?
Yeah.
They would get some hard liquor alcohol and just throw some of stuff in there, whether it's common with ginseng. A lot of times, and snakes.
Sure.
Definitely seen, and some more other typical roots that they have. And they just leave it in there, and they believe that the alcohol will absorb all of the good nutrients and things that will, enhance their performance.
Sure.
And what they do is that's what they drink after a while,
And I think it's an interesting thing too, that I see this being a trainer at the gym too, and obviously, this is more on the male side of things specifically for this particular thing, but it starts with, all right, I want to be stronger and feel stronger at the gym, so I need this little boost here.
Right.
All right, man, there you go. All right, well now, kind of wearing off, I need this next boost. Okay, sure. Hey, what can I also do that's, related sexually? I may be seeing some side effects in this stuff. Okay, well, here's a little boost for that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, now there's this. Well, now, I clearly need something stronger, so now I need to start going into drugs beyond the other stuff. And that's where it starts to get well, not that it starts to get sketchy, but then it can get very not safe very quickly when it comes to all that kind of stuff. And it's a slippery slope, I guess, is what I'm saying, the whole performance thing.
Right. It's extremely important that you really, really speak to a healthcare professional before you start taking any of these supplements. I mean, generally, we would consider supplements to be pretty safe.
Sure.
But I would like to take extra caution when it comes to supplements for libido or sex performance issues, because these products can raise a lot of blood, for example, blood pressures, for one. And actually, some of these products was actually recalled because they contain actual active ingredient of certain drugs.
Which is insane.
Which is pretty insane.
So to clarify, what James is saying there is literally some of these over-the-counter supplements which were making claims about libido and that kind of stuff. In order to achieve those claims, we're actually putting the drug in there, which is extremely unsafe.
Of course, and it's unethical as well. Whether they did it on purpose or not, that's a different story. But still, it's extremely important you talk about it, because and one thing that I've definitely noticed is that, well, this supplement is pretty safe. It's been used for a while, and there have been some researches on it. Okay, fine. And when I actually read up on those research, well, the study subjects or test subjects were pretty young, between age of 30 and 40, pretty healthy men, doesn't really have any other conditions.
Sure.
And it was tested on a very small population of them. And what happens? Of course, they're pretty healthy. It doesn't really affect them, but listen, the chances are you may not be as fit as some of those subjects would be.
Sure.
And given our typical American diet, right? It's pretty typical for someone to be overweight. Guilty of it myself. Obesity, other disease conditions with diabetes, blood pressure issues, it's fairly common.
Right.
And there is not many studies at all, actually, done typically on a population that we would know.
Sure.
So, you can't just take their word for as granted, oh, it's safe, oh, it's perfectly fine. Because I also believe it really oversimplify things. I mean, this supplement is a cure-all. I mean, we don't believe that with blood pressure or diabetes or anything like that. Why would we trust that on something like this?
And I think that trust is a good way to put it too, right? There's multiple levels of trust when it comes to these products too. And I'm not even talking about some of the crazy ones that like, you or I hear and we're just like immediately like, what? Like some kind of crazy snake soaked in alcohol kind of thing for libido. But even if you talk about something that's okay, like this is in the realm of what I've heard of, like the horny goat weed, which is always a funny name, or the ginseng, like you said. It's like, okay, that's more common, more studied, or arginine, right? And those are other common supplements like that. There's multiple levels of safety. So there's how was this made? How was this produced? Was this produced in a clean facility and all that kind of stuff? And then beyond that too, what you were getting into about, well, what are the studies on this? Who was this tested on? And obviously there are different types of supplements, but the NIH even said a lot of the herbal supplements that are out there, there's not much conclusive evidence, but there is evidence that there is some pretty significant pharmacological activity on some of these herbs. So if you're taking some medication, if you're taking some of this other stuff, could it be safe? Maybe, but there's no real proof scientifically saying this is safe with this in these circumstances, essentially.
Absolutely. What I'm trying to get to, especially in this episode, is that I believe before you try any of these supplements, make sure you know your condition.
Sure.
And really think about, well, do I really need this? Because when it comes to libido, as we all know, it's very, very complex.
Right.
It can be purely your mental issue. You might be depressed, you know? You may be tired because you're working 7 days a week.
Sure.
Or you and your significant other may not be in a very good term at the moment.
Sure.
There's a lot of different things that's involved. Or purely your testosterone level might be low.
Yeah.
For men and women. You know? So there are a lot of possible underlying causes that can be done with it. So it's extremely important for that you actually assess yourself first before trying out any of these products.
Right. And not only a lot of causes, a lot of different solutions as well that vary in efficacy and vary in safety too.
Absolutely.
Right. Like we're a compounding pharmacy, so we make, hormone medication in our lab, which is done safely and correctly and that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, you're still doing hormone replacement therapy, and some of these solutions, which can be very beneficial in a lot of ways, and have shown some. We'll have some other people talking about that kind of stuff specifically. But at the end of the day, you're still taking hormones on a consistent basis. There's some things you gotta consider with that, if that's something you want to commit to for the rest of your life when doing that kind of thing, or even when it comes to some of the other solutions, whether it's, I use the word solutions vaguely, but whether it's a supplement or other medication that you can get that's more commercially available, a lot of those things are not, it's a permanent solution. I mean, I've got to do this consistently every day or whenever the protocol is for the rest of my life. It's not just, so if you're willing to put in, here's my argument. If you're willing to put in the effort to do something like that for the quicker fix, or just, I am feeling this way, I'm just going to take, testosterone. If you're willing to commit to paying for that and doing that every day for the rest of your life, why not first, before doing that, and if that's the necessary route to go that route. But before committing to doing that, why don't you first commit to talking to someone and self-evaluation and figuring out what is the root cause of this. So then when I commit to, a solution, I know it's a solution that's going to point me in the right direction, at least, as opposed to spending all that time and money on things that may not even be relevant to what the actual issue is going on.
And that's what I like to talk about today, are some of those possible supplements that we see online. When you walk in anywhere, any vitamin stores, and you will see some of those, sex, libido, performance enhancing product that you may see. A lot of them actually, the idea behind it is generally for men, when I talk about these supplements, is that it will increase the blood flow. That's regulated by the nitric oxide. And some of the common ones that they talk about is L-arginine.
Which is a precursor to that nitric oxide.
There's yohimbine, if you've heard of it, those are possible things they can do basically increase the blood flow so that how should I say this?
When the moment strikes.
When it's needed, it works.
Right.
So that's, I guess, the best way to put it. However, the major things that I have read up on that is that theoretically, it may make sense. And yes, there are people who certainly have seen good, effect from it, okay? Some of the common studies I've seen were done on rats. And when it's done on rats, I guess rats are very simple. It worked.
Right.
But when it comes
Who wants that job, to watch rats do it?
But when it comes to, when they actually started studying on humans, well, it didn't really showed a lot of inconclusive studies because we are a lot more complicated, believe it or not. Men are pretty complicated. So when it comes to that, there are a lot of different possible side effects.
Sure.
Especially drug-drug interactions. We'll probably cover more of this when we actually talk about medications that's FDA approved on it.
Right.
But it's also same idea a lot of times with these supplements. If you are taking certain type of antibiotic, if you are taking some type of blood pressure medications, antiviral medications, a lot of these can have a lot of very severe interactions.
Sure.
So it's extremely important that you definitely do check with the doctor. Is it worth trying? Some interesting other things I've seen was definitely ginseng. Some studies actually break it down to ones that were made in Korea versus one that are made in America.
Interesting.
And there was a small study, I don't know if I 100% believe, but the Korean ginseng tends to actually possibly can increase the testosterone level versus the American ones, they won't. But overall, ginseng was for centuries, used as just for energy booster, I guess,
Do you think some of that's like the placebo effect related to that?
Absolutely.
If someone says, "Oh, ginseng in ancient medicine, blah blah blah," I'm going to take some ginseng now and good to go.
It is a lot of placebo effect as well, I believe, because it may be the underlying cause of it. Underlying cause may not be has anything to do with ginseng,
Sure.
It may be on the head.
Yeah, sure.
That you kind of find a peace of mind. Okay, I've been taking this, I feel more confident now, I feel like I'm getting more energy, So it's just by taking that, sometimes it can definitely be a placebo effect.
Right.
Ginseng, there are a lot of different studies in ginseng, especially in Asian countries. And for the most part, they're generally pretty safe. But as I said before, blood pressure is a huge thing. If you have high blood pressure, it may not be for you. And some people feel hot when they take these ginseng products and they feel more powerful. But that can mean something else, as in your body may not be right with it. Some people get hot flash, rash, and certain things like that. So, I'm not even gonna go into the actual quality of the product, but overall, you have to be very careful and definitely speak to the doctor because it does interact with a lot of different medications.
Sure.
Another thing that I thought was pretty interesting was Tribulus.
Okay.
They got popular because at one point, Bulgarian weightlifting Olympic team apparently took it, and
I'm
they
going to
thought,
Bulgaria for a wedding next year. Actually, maybe I'll check them out.
Listen, there is actually a product called like Bulgarian Tribulus.
Okay.
So
interesting.
You might want to look into that.
Yeah, maybe I'll give it a try.
They were claiming that these are pretty safe, pretty efficacious for overall, obviously, lifting stuff to be stronger. But at the same time, when we do a lot more research and studying, pretty inconclusive, unfortunately. I've read a lot of different reviews, but at this point, how much can I really trust all these reviews as well online,
Right.
So don't be swayed by that. Don't be swayed by all those reviews because you don't know where it comes from.
Yeah. That's true.
That's extremely important as well. So
to add to, we're talking about a couple specifics now, to add to some of the nutritional side of things, right? We hear a lot about certain plants, especially here, oysters or some of those kind of things, like that's an aphrodisiac, or pumpkin seeds I hear, or even like you mentioned, arginine, or they'll have the NO supplements that are supposed to be better than the arginine because it's, you know, already in the NO that your body can access in a specific pool and blah, 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 all this nonsense science kind of stuff, right? I don't mean to use the word nonsense to dismiss it all, but you know what I mean. A lot of the NO supplements are based from beets.
Right.
So there's like some kind of beet base to it in some capacity, right? So a lot of those foods, I'm not saying, I hate beets. I think they're beet. But whether you like the food or not, I'm not saying that some of those foods don't have phytonutrients or other things that can't help with blood flow or can't help with, you know, good nutrition in general, right? But what I would argue is if you're going to sit there and, you know, maybe you have some diet issues or, you know, some exercise challenges and that kind of stuff, or maybe you could be more active at the gym, that kind of stuff, and you go and pop a couple pumpkin seeds every day, that's not going to do anything, right? Because the underlying issue is not, oh, I need some more pumpkin in my life. You know what I mean? The underlying issue is if you were doing the right appropriate functional resistance training, that would be more, you know, emphasizing the correct hormones, whether you're a male or a female, right? So if you got, you know, your diet in line, exercise in line, that would probably more, I don't want to use the word permanently, but more effectively address the issue at hand, as opposed to taking pumpkin seeds or taking even a beetroot supplement kind of thing directly, right? There's a lot of factors is my point that I'm trying to make.
Of course, and some of these, you know, as I said, theoretically works, and some are actually using compounds. For example, we said L-arginine a few times already.
Compounds meaning medication we make from scratch.
Yes, we get a prescription. Doctor would assess the issue, and they believe if it's good for someone to try this product. And this specific product is actually used for women. It's a cream that is compounded, and one of the ingredients in there is arginine.
Right.
Why? To increase the blood flow. You know, and that actually used topically. It is used vaginally, and it definitely. A lot of customers have seen good effect from it, you know?
So is that the Scream Cream?
Well, that's one of the terminology. You know, we get an actual prescription Scream Cream. Sometimes we do get that. Yes, that's one of the terminology that we would use. But the point I'm trying to get to that is, see, the important thing is that is it was actually prescribed by a doctor.
Sure.
They assessed everything, you know, check your blood work. Hey, maybe, you know, because depending on the doctor, they might say, well, you know, maybe your testosterone level is too low for men, or even for women, because we definitely do get compounding prescription for women as well for testosterone.
Sure.
At the same time, well, maybe it seems like you might be just a little depressed, you know, and maybe we should get a prescription for XYZ.
Right.
Or, hey, you know what? It's a side effect from one of your medication that you're taking, you know. Whether it's blood pressure or anxiety pills and things like that, or hey, alcohol. You know, prolonged use of alcohol can certainly cause some of these issues as well. So, you know, we keep going back to the key point is that you really need to assess everything going on in your life before jumping into a supplement because you read some reviews, you know?
And if you need help in assessing, speak with a qualified professional who is, you know, knows these options, knows these solutions, and is qualified to speak to you about them, or can refer to to someone who is, and actually keep your safety in mind, because ultimately it doesn't matter if, you know, everything's not working properly if you're not around to have it work properly, you know what I mean? That would be my biggest concern when it comes to a lot of this kind of stuff, is from safety perspective.
I mean, and as we mentioned, this topic, it's a hot topic for centuries.
Yeah.
I mean, along with it, there are a lot of superfluous information out there, and most of them are, you know, a lot of them are myth, you know? They're not really true. Some of them I couldn't say flat out, just not true, you know? So basically, make sure that you look at what you're taking before you want to try, give it a try. But don't expect too much benefit from
manage expectations.
Yes, manage your expectations. I think that's a really good way to put it.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you guys for joining us on this episode. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at any time. Our websites are hbpharmacy.com and gasparsbest.com. Thanks again, and we will see you on the next episode of Behind the Counter. So what are some common myths that you guys have heard about how you can actually contract these diseases? Obviously, sexually transmitted, so sex would be the obvious one, right? But I've heard, tractors or sitting on a public toilet. What are some myths that you guys have heard, and what's legit and what's illegitimate?
So those are all not legit. Sorry to burst that rumor bubble. Not legit, but anytime you are participating